insane over the carnage. He still thinks he's on the battlefield when he shows home, and it's so, like, again, it sounds ridiculous, but like when he arrives home and he's still talking about like the bloody carnage and yelling like kill, kill, and laughing maniacally and doing insane flips and doing incredible, kung fu, you would be like, well, that's not what PTSD looks like. That's not like a realistic depiction of PTSD.
Right.
But again, that's not what Lau Kar-leung is interested in. He's interested in the sort of the genre as a heightened form of expression. So what would a crazy, insane kung fu brother who can fight that well do? I don't know. But this is a pretty cool way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Watching a scene where like a son who is traumatized go up to his mother and, basically break down psychologically
after trying to kill her too. But that scene is done between the two, like duking it out, like the mom gets in on the fighting and stuff. Yeah.
It's so sick.
Absolutely. And then while that's happening too, you have like him giving a really emotional performance, saying stuff like my baby brother was killed by arrows. One got cut in half. One was trampled. Like things like that. It's just there's such a heightened element to both the physical performance and the like kind of just dramatic emotional performances. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and the mother like doing this huge dramatic feint as he's like recounting how the father died and everything like that.
Yeah.
And, incredible zoom on him as he screams, followed by a zoom out on everyone kneeling, realizing what it is that he's saying. Because he doesn't understand. Too. Yeah, that choreographed kneel where they all drop to their knees and then
just like
the brother does a front flip into the kneel.
Yeah,
so good.
What a show off.
Yeah, no, honestly, this has to be partially where John Woo comes from, because his idea is the exact same. It's heightened physicality as expression of emotion, and you absolutely feel it. Like you feel this brother's trauma and suffering as he's crying and screaming and relating the story, but then also he can't it's so terrible he can't contain it in his body. He has to move, he has to try to keep attacking, he has to do a flip.
Yes.
So yeah, it's very interesting, and something that few filmmakers I think have ever really tried to recreate, like especially nowadays. So it's very cool to go back and watch that.
I think it's because it's like it's got that risky quality to it of being goofy, I guess, and so it does feel like more filmmakers
people are definitely afraid of that. Goofy.
Yeah, so it feels like people take less chances on things like that have that heightened quality, because that's what does come with, if you're gonna make that kind of really over-the-top heightened thing in your movie, you are at risk more so of being kind of cheesy and goofy. But if you nail it, I find that those are my favorite moments in film, because it's just like, it's why I go to film. It's that fantasy escapism element, but also driving home what the filmmaker's trying to say through the characters and the story. So, yeah. I think it just feels like people don't want to take that chance. That's all. And I'm glad that he does.
Yeah, and he does it throughout the whole film. Like, again, after that's when the brother gets to, like, the hunter's home, where he learns about how Pan Mei is, like, now in power with the emperor and everything. And, he's talking about how he needs to go and, get revenge for the country. And he's like, your country doesn't care about your loyalty. Look what your country just did to you.
Yeah.
And then he says, and if it's for your family, like you have to wait. You can't, he basically is trying to explain to him that he can't get like hasty revenge, that it won't work. He needs to train. He needs to go do something. And watching this scene immediately interrupted by Pan Mei's men like show up,
a ton of them.
and this character have to explain that to him through his physicality, because it's so interesting. Like, he doesn't believe it when the guy is just saying this, and he's just like a hunter who lives in his country and respects his family, and he's trying to help him, but he doesn't really understand. And then watching this dude, one of the great another incredible like Lau Kar-leung action set piece where they like break into his his sort of like hunter's house. But there's a great part where Pan Mei's men are breaking in, and
through the windows.
Gordon goes and tries to run out to fight them, because he's like, I'm going to get my revenge now. And the guy believes so much in this idea of Gordon not doing that that he's actually fighting Pan May's men and Gordon at the same time,
Yeah.
where he's like kicking them out of his house and kicking
And
Gordon,
trying to get
like,
Gordon
down
into the tunnel. Yeah.
Yeah, like that stuff's so good. And then he flips 5 dudes out of his house through the
wall,
the window
basically.
side of his house, where he breaks the entire house open and flies out of the house holding a trident.
Yeah, or like I thought it was like a pitchfork, but I guess it could be. Yeah, I didn't know if he was
I'm pretty
a
sure a
farmer or
pitchfork
whatever,
is more
even
points. It's more points.
Oh yeah, I think
like
it's
this is
4.
literally
This is 3.
like 3.
You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. So that's pretty awesome. That's another variation on the spear weapon. What's that, like 4 or 5 different variations now?
But I will say a big difference between these set pieces and what we're used to from Shaolin, for example, is that this obviously is a lot bloodier. As we kind of mentioned, that we kind of glossed over it a little bit, but in the main opening thing, when all those brothers die, like we were describing their horrific deaths, but they actually do die that way.
Yes.
Like you watch this dude get trampled over by horses and like red paint, blood flying everywhere. And when the guy gets arrowed, you see all the piercings with the blood and everything.
And once again, it's not like with Bruce Lee, I've found when we've watched a couple of those movies, he'll have cuts on him and stuff, but there's nothing that's like bleeding. We're talking flowing blood.
No, this is like gore.
Here. Yeah, this is gory in a way. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and the same thing. So not only is it more gory, it's also even more heightened. Like the wire work is more exaggerated and everything too.
Yep.
Like when this hunter starts like, sort of like slapping and spinning and stabbing and like hurling these dudes around with